Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Suzerain, Kingdom of Rizia, where last episode we had some interesting revelations after a few drinks, and now we are off to Swordland to get to see if we can get a trade deal or bond offer or something. We had to spend one budget. I don't like it, but oh well. Our delegation arrived in Halsord International Airport early in the afternoon. President Ewald Alfonso and a contingent of Swordish officials were there to greet us. By the time we reached the base of Halsord Tower, the sun had begun to dip lower in the sky, bathing the city in a golden hue. Accompanying me were my counselor Lorento Escobel and Elena Werner, as well as my daughter. As our vehicle came to a stop, President Alfonso stepped forward with a welcoming gesture. Welcome to Holsor Tower, King Romus. I can tell you how much I've been looking forward to today. It's an occasion to celebrate the multifaceted economic partnership we are building between our great nations. Uh, sure, I'm much more interested in seeing the Maroon Palace. Concrete needles don't impress me as much as history and culture. I should have expected you'd be a history buff. The Maroon Palace does hold stories that no modern edifice can. President Edward Alfonso's gaze briefly swept across our group before settling on Princess Vina. Mrs. Vina, it is an honor to welcome you, Mr. Manger, and our team will ensure all of your needs are met during your stay. Thank you, President Alfonso. I've studied so much about Swordland's recent history and can't wait to experience its culture firsthand. Consider us at your service, Your Highness. Should you have any requests or need assistance, please don't hesitate to let me know. Uh, Radio scandalous activities. No, sure. Just wait until you try Swordish Sabla, Vina. It's the best. You know your cuisine well, Your Majesty. Yes, nothing beats Zawal with a cold glass of cabbage or Ellery Maroon. But Rizia is well acquainted with our fine whiskey by now. Cabbage, on the other hand, you won't find that anywhere else. I'll warn you that it's a bit rustic compared to your wine, but it has its own special charms. We'll continue this conversation over dinner. The views from the revolving restaurant are nothing less than astounding. Upon entering the grand lobby of Holsar Tower, we were directed towards a lavish elevator. The cabin slowly ascended, giving us momentary sense of detachment from the world below. The cityscape of Holsar became a moving panorama through the glass walls. From the cobbled streets of the old town to the skyscrapers of the Maroon District, the greenery of the capital park to the diversity of New Erlory, the city was a seamless blend of past and present. Quite the sight, isn't it? It's always interesting to see the whole sort from this perspective. I hope your first impression of our city is a favorable one. Uh, sure, I'll admit I'm impressed, but I've always believed that the true character of a city is found not in its skyline but in the lives of its people. Right on, it's the everyday folks that really tell you what a place is about, recession or not. The true test of a city is how it supports its most vulnerable, especially during times of economic instability, wouldn't you say, Mr. President? I promise you that once the market readjusts itself, whole sorts of citizens will reap the fruits of our privatization initiatives. Of course they will. The streets will come alive once more. The elevator gently halted at the top of Holsor Tower and the door slid open, revealing the entrance to the revolving restaurant. Alfonso continued to talk. You read the news, Your Majesty. I won't pretend the Sorge's economy hasn't seen a downturn since our last meeting, but the recession of 51 was a direct result of the entrenched systemic issues we inherited. Thanks to the aggressive economic reforms I'm putting into place, our growth will only skyrocket from here. I'm sure it will. It may be a controversial move, but privatizing key sectors and crucially attracting foreign investment will position Sordland towards a globally competitive, prosperous, and stable future in the 60s. I understand completely, Mr. President, but if I may be so bold, how can you be sure these radical changes won't deepen the divide between the rich and poor in your country? Be as bold as you want, Your Highness. As someone who's worked in rural areas and seen the reality, let me tell you, investment and growth often lift all boats. Sure, we need to tackle the wealth gap, but it's not just about handouts, it's about creating real sustainable opportunities. Uh, Such aggressive reforms may work in Sorland. No, no. Okay, sure, let's go middle of the road. Appreciate what you've done with your country, but in Rizia we prefer gradual changes. Tradition must always be respected. Undoubtedly, the pace of reform must match society's readiness for change. The Swordfish people elected me precisely because I promised them change, and I aim to bring it to them. So here we are. The restaurant's large window offered an unobstructed view of Holsword's expanse. The staff guided us towards a large table. The gentle hum of conversation enveloped us as we were seated. Any questions about this magnificent panorama, Your Majesty? I'm happy to offer my insights into the various districts of our fair city. Sure, I'd love to learn more about Holsworth, Mr. President. I looked out the window. President Alfonso, could you tell me more about the old town? It's a lot like your old town in Port Trazon, just newer. The city was founded on the east side of the Escal River on the early 1400s. It started as a key rest and recovery stop for traders growing significantly during the Renan period. Its architecture from the Renan days to the Swordish Agnolian Union State era is a mirror of Sordland's history. That's right, the old town's got this timeless aura, that tourists can't get enough of it. And what inspired the development of the Maroon district? It's quite a contrast to the old town. That's what our late President Vichy intended. His initial conception for the district was taken over by President Arconsol after the Civil War. It was renamed to symbolize the rebirth of Holsword under the Second Republic. Its blend of modernist and neoclassical architecture reflects the aspirations Seoul held for a progressive Swordland at the time. It's got all the fancy buildings, businesses, embassies, everything a modern metropolis could need. Capital Park and the surrounding government buildings are impressive. The park's a favorite spot for folks around here. Great place to relax and get away from the city rush. And the government buildings, including the Maroon Palace and the Grand National Assembly, are not just architectural marvels but also the epicenters of our nation's governance. These buildings represent our democratic journey, especially the assembly where elected representatives work for Sorland's future. Is that a street market I see down in New Erlori? Yes, it's there every week, part of the district's melting pot charm. Ever since migrants from Ellery started settling there a century ago, it's attracted all kinds of diverse inhabitants. I call it Holsword's most vibrant neighborhood. Not to mention that the nightlife can't be beat. Remind me not to take you to Cabaret Lashaven if we have time. Remind me to take you to Cabaret Lashaven if we have time after dinner. How do you see the evolution of Holsword? I'd say it mirrors that of Swordland itself. It's been rebuilding, growing, changing with the times. And just like Swordland, it stands strong no matter what's thrown at it. Even if the face of our recent challenges. What about your own history with Holsword, Mr. President? Alfonso took a sip from his whiskey and looked out into the distance. You know what I started you know that I started out at Gazom in the aftermath of the Civil War during the Restoration period. Gazom became a symbol of our national resurgence. I remember navigating through the maze of old monarchist sentiments and the ambitions of Seoul and his new republic. Uh, I'm sure Seoul's national autarky plan posed difficulties for you as a businessman. It wasn't all bad. You'll recall my predecessor's original intent with the NAP was to make Sordland self sufficient and independent from foreign influences. While it succeeded in some respects, like infrastructure development, it also isolated us economically. In the end, the result was constrained economy, lacking in innovation and global competitiveness. That's why we stagnated in the 40s. Let's not bore our delegation further. We all know why you're really here. It was time for me to make the opening remarks for the bond deal discussion. Sure. Thank you for your hospitality and kindness so far. We are open to hearing your proposals regarding our common future. The sound of both delegations' applause filled the room. It's encouraging to see such enthusiasm. Let's hope the spirit of collaboration guides us through the discussions ahead. A toast to the potential of our collaboration. Here's to the start of what could be a landmark deal, two new beginnings. Let's begin. We are keen to know about the current economic situation of the Kingdom of Rizia. Our recent research and inquiries haven't been fully answered. I do know that your treasury has seen a reduction in income lately. We are looking for investments for this deal and hope you can afford such endeavors. Assuming you are able to invest in Switzerland, we can promise you very lucrative returns. Additionally, Rizian energy output seems to be historically low at the moment. We can't do much about that right now, but perhaps today can be a stepping stone towards a lucrative agreement in that direction. I'm focused on improving the energy situation. Expect us to have a high net surplus soon. You know best, King Ramas. I have complete faith in your assessment. There was a pause in the discussion as the first course was served. It was a deconstructed version of Latchhaven style Yorska? Yorska? Sure. Why not? With a hot seafood stock poured over clams, mussels, and curbed raw salmon. Sounds delicious. After we'd been eating for a few minutes, President Alfonso cleared his throat. So, what we're offering Rizia is the chance to purchase Sordish government bonds with a 4-year maturity at excellent rates. I'm not confident that the Sordish government will will be able to pay those fucking things, but despite the current recession, we're on a path to economic revitalization, thanks to significant investments being secured from Kinal and Anraka, as well as our progressive policy reforms. As you're already aware, a key aspect of these reforms is the future privatization of crucial sectors, including energy. Gazom is at the forefront of this transformation, and it's poised to play a central role in our recovery. This bond issue is a chance for Rizia not only to make financial gains, but also to diversify its economy. Sure, your re election is far from guaranteed, and by that I mean certain not guaranteed. How can you be sure your successor will follow the economic course you've set? A valid question, but our economic policies are designed to withstand political change. The landscape in Switzerland is ever changing, and Anton Reign could well prevail in the next election. Despite this, the bond proposal is built with long term stability and growth in mind. There's no love lost between myself and Reign, that's for sure, but if he won't listen to my opinion on economic matters, he'll at least listen to Gus. Gus grinned. Economic continuity trumps political shifts, Your Majesty, I guarantee you that. Given the current recession in Scotland, how can you assure us that these investments will bear fruit? We need to review the economic performance indicators and further recovery plans thoroughly. Growth forecasts alone aren't enough. As I mentioned, the investments we received from Kinal and Ankara are substantial. Anraka, coupled with our reforms, they're projected to significantly boost our economy. This is not mere speculation, our plans are calculated based on economic principles behind a sound free market strategy. Calculated strategies are one thing, real world outcomes are another. Our kingdom can't afford a failure here. These aren't just hopes and dreams, they're well thought out plans. Based on hard economic data, we are setting Swordland on a path to a robust rebound. Sure, you are. I mentioned future benefits for Rizia by signing this deal. Would you elaborate on that or on what these might entail? Gladly, given my chairman position with Gazom, we can explore investment opportunities in energy. Let's say preferential access to energy resources and shares, as well as a chance to be part of Gazom's revitalization, which I actively steering. An interesting proposition, we must carefully analyze how it aligns with Rizia's energy security strategy. By making Gazom more competitive and efficient, we're not only boosting our own economy, but also enhancing the security and potential returns of your investment. I'm not so much interested in Swordish bonds, but I'm very interested in buying some of Gazom. If this bond deal and Gazom's plan succeeds, it could indeed unlock significant advantages for Rizia. Although I don't know what this saves version of Anton Rain is gonna do, since this was a auto-generated one. A prime example would be the potential reduction of import taxes on Rizian goods. Aren't you concerned about how this might affect Swordland's domestic market? Very considerate of you, Your Majesty. We'll work towards easing the concerns of Swordish industries, ensuring this agreement doesn't cause undue strain. Your liberal economic policies, your plan to sell shares of Gazom, it's all very ambitious. And risky. As we've seen from time to time with our own Rizian Royal Gold Company, privatization has its drawbacks. I understand that, but with great risk comes great reward. Our new plan is aimed at boosting market confidence and stability. It will enhance the security and profitability of your initiative. Liberalizing Gazom should increase its market efficiency and shareholder value, yada yada yada, boosting financial revenues. This should, in theory, lead to higher bond yields and more favorable debt to GDP ratio, in theory. Truly a win win scenario, of course. We can move ahead with more details. So far, this has all been reassuring to hear. What are your thoughts, Your Majesty? Sure. Our nations have already established a mutual trust. There is not much doubt in my mind. Excellent. We too see this bond investment in an extension as an extension of our continued partnership. He ignored Elena's offended look. What offended look? I'd like to move to the final specifics of our government bonds, focusing on the returns in Rizian guilders. I'll break it down for you. We arrived today with two bond proposals, one large and one small. But based on the current status of your treasury, I'll assume our bigger and better proposal is off the table. Should have sold some weapons before coming here. Let's continue with the smaller one. Gus took a quick sip from his glass of Sardish wine and considered a more cautious investment of 3 billion Rizian guilders. The potential returns of the case of a successful economic recovery are still impressive. If our projections are accurate, Rizia would see an investment growth to about 9 billion guilders. Not as much as if you'd invested more, but nothing to sneeze at either. And yes, I would like a smaller investment anyways, so a small investment might be a more prudent approach, allowing us to test the waters without overcommitting. A smaller scale investment allows Rizia to benefit from potential economic upturns in Storland with a more manageable risk profile. It's a wise approach for cautious yet forward-looking investors. Even with a more conservative investment, the synergy from our existing deals provides a solid basis for further collaboration. Indeed, Mr. President, we in Rizia are definitely interested in broadening our economic horizons. A larger bond investment could serve as a strategic catalyst to expand our relationship beyond trade into broader economic cooperation. As the restaurant continued its gentle orbit, our second course arrived. It consisted of an airy sheep cheese mousse between two sheets of crisp pastry garnished with a rainbow of fresh herbs and edible flowers. Again, sounds delicious. I think this is supposed to be svabli, Your Majesty, a whole sort specialty, though it's not usually this flowery. He cleared his throat. The question now is, where does Rizia see itself in the future? As a regional power in South Mercopa, or are you aiming for a more global presence? Uh, yeah, I want our kingdom to be a global player. Our partnership should expand far beyond our existing ties to Rumburg and other monarchies. Alfonso smiled. That's what I want to hear. I know you harbor family ties to Queen Beatrice, but to be frank, strengthening trade with other nations, especially ones with dynamic liberal economies, will be far more beneficial for you than sticking with Rumburg. There may even come a time when you don't need grace at all. Vina hurriedly made an effort to change the subject. No matter what, we Rizians do see ourselves as an influential force. Our culture, our resources, our strategic position, all of that matters in Mercopa and beyond. Elena smiled at her approvingly. Very true, Your Highness, but diving headfirst into the global arena demands a robust economic foundation. We should ensure our internal stability before expanding our footprints. Your caution is prudent, Miss Werner, but I believe in the dynamism of capitalism. It thrives on bold moves and calculated risks. Yes, calculated risks, like expecting the state to pay for your shortcomings. Um, as perfectly exemplified by the offer we're bringing to the table. Can we get to the point already? What do you say to this new opportunity, King Ramos? Elena, what's your final perspective on this bond deal? From an economic viewpoint, it's a very strategic move, but we need to consider the broader implications and risks involving if things don't go as expected. Even with a small investment, 3 billion guilder is a lot of funds to have tied up for 4 years. We don't know what the future will bring for either Sorland or Rizia. Tripling one's money sounds seductive, but investment into Rizia's domestic industries could net us equal or greater profits in the longer run. Wise words, Elena. Glad I brought you along. Just doing my job, Your Majesty. Now I'm ready to decide. We'll make history together, Your Majesty. Sure, we'll make a small bond investment. A strategic decision, it will allow us to take advantage of this opportunity while safeguarding our assets. That's very prudent of you, Your Majesty. Though, of course, I wish you'd been able to invest more. I assure you, your faith in our recovery will be rewarded in triplicate. This reflects a balanced strategy, ensuring we're not overextending while still engaging in promising opportunities. Even if the investment itself is small, we've built a deeper connection between Rizzi and Swordland. If I may say so, that alone is a feat. A sense of cautious optimism filled the room as the news of my decision circulated around the table. Just then, the third course arrived. It appeared to be a take on Bergian zabla with medium rare grilled sliced beef atop a silky smooth chickpea puree. Gus put his fork down with a frustrated groan. I do apologize. This meal was supposed to give you a taste of the real Swordland, not some hoity toity millionaire's idea of it. Uh, that's not your fault. Everyone assumes we royals want steak and caviar all the time, but truthfully, I'd kill for a giant bowl of stew. A man after my own heart. Anyway, Lorento reached under the table and pulled out a bottle. This dish should go on wonderfully with a sip of Ramos de Red, a preview of the new Cantuavo vintage before it hits the Swordfish market. He poured glasses for Alfonso and his minister. Both men gave murmurs of appreciation. Vina turned slightly green as she looked at the bottle. None for me, thank you. Be careful, gentlemen. Consumed in sufficient amounts, this wine has been known to act as a truth serum. She and Lorento shared a conspirational smile. As the final course was cleared away, the setting sun cast a warm glow over the table. President Alfonso stood, glass in hand, and turned to me with an inviting smile. By this meeting herald a new chapter of collaboration, understanding, and prosperity for both our great nations. Our future will be bright. I mean, yours not particularly, but mine I hope so. I'll drink to that. The applause that followed the toast gradually subsided and the atmosphere buzzed with animated conversations. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a beautiful array of colors across the sky, we began preparing to leave. The evening air was crisp and the city lights began to twinkle as we journeyed toward the Maroon Palace for the evening party. Okay. Rizia embarks on prudent investment. Okay, let us look at our situation right now. I really want this to speed up. I need to, first of all, I need to sell shit. Like super fast. It doesn't really say how we are on air fleet though. But that is a very tempting. Okay, let's okay, let's go for that first. Okay, construction. It'll take 2 turns, give us +1. Okay, I did promise investment. Health and education funding. 2 authority and 3 budget. -2 budget for turn is way too high. Okay. I cannot afford I just can't afford the fucking monthly cost, is the thing. I think we need to build more things. -3 budget, 3 turn construction, +2 energy. Okay, gold mine also interesting. Okay, let's build a gold mine. I need that budget. We also need the coal mine. And can we get anything that only costs authority? Anything that only costs authority? Not really. Okay. Fine. Gold reserves to be unlocked. Gold mines near Kalus will increase to benefit. Okay, let us see how this all plays out, shall we? Okay, that is not good. Our energy, our gen energy production is very poor. Bilateral negotiations with Velen. Okay, we finished the expanded docks. Okay. What's that? Emergency ITZ board meeting. Okay. It's gonna fuck us on the MITZ revenues, isn't it? In any case, that is a problem to deal with next episode. Thank you all very much for watching. As always, I have been Pope. Please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all next time.